Here we go. So welcome everyone. My name is Sean FitzGerald. I work for our JDRF-Indiana State chapter, currently working out of the home, as I'm sure many people are, or dealing with a lot of changes during this time. Our virtual connections program is something that we launched this month to kind of give opportunities for people to hear about different topics and kind of stay engaged with JDRF and continue learning during this time as well. We have had 2 previous virtual connections program calls, and both of those were recorded, and those are available on the same virtual connections website. So that was one with Dr. Jim Malone on T1D and COVID-19, kind of talking through some of the myths, some of the information, and kind of just some basics about the disease itself. And then one with Matt Creek, who is just an all-around great athlete. He himself has type 1 diabetes, and he talked a little bit about how to stay healthy and fit and kind of continue exercising during this time, which I really appreciated because my steps per day has absolutely plummeted ever since kind of starting working from home. So I just want to thank you guys all for tuning in today, and again, encourage you to feel free. At the end, we'll have some dedicated time for questions and stuff, and I really do want to encourage you to make this interactive and feel like you can ask questions at any times, but certainly at the end as well. So I'd like to just really quick give a quick overview of our agenda today. So obviously currently we're giving the introductions. Today I'm going to be turning it over to our key advocacy volunteer. Leah has been great at, whether it's our JDRF events, she was great at our summit, our walks, really promoting and getting people excited about advocacy, because it really does have a very real impact on the dollars that go to type 1 diabetes research, on the legislation and the rights for type 1 people, not just in Indiana, but truly, in the entire country and even beyond, because JDRF is, an international organization as well. So without further ado, I'd like to start to turn this over to Leah. Again, she's a great volunteer for JDRF. She is also a mom. Her daughter Claire was diagnosed, and I just want to really thank her again for all the time that she dedicates to JDRF, to particularly advocacy. Right before this call, she was on a national advocacy call. So how often do you have to do that, Leah? Is that like every
month?
Every month? Yeah. So, and then again, all the events that she takes part in, drives up to. I know that drive from Evansville to Indianapolis myself. So certainly appreciate your time today. So let me go ahead and stop sharing here so that you're able to take over.
Okay. This is my first time. Hi, everyone. So there, okay. How about that? Does that work?
Perfect. Yep, I see that. If you want to click the present so it's larger.
Is that not this that button there? No.
Great, you're fine to go.
Okay. We'll just do the best that we can today. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here today and allowing me to talk to you about the importance of advocacy and how you can help JDRF accomplish our mission of curing type 1 diabetes. So maybe Graham will come in here and help me. I know I had this shared all the way out today, but like I said, it's my first time. So
I think if you, at the top, if you click slideshow.
Oh yeah, there. How about
and then
that?
Play from current slide. To the left.
There. Okay. Oh, yay. Okay.
Yes, perfect.
Good. Perfect. Okay. So, you guys are probably wondering who can be a JDRF advocate. Basically, anyone and everyone can be an advocate. As someone either who has type 1 diabetes yourself, or maybe you love someone with type 1 diabetes, you're in the best position to educate and inspire lawmakers to care about the issues facing people every day with living with type 1 diabetes. When can you start this wonderful new job as an advocate? Anytime, right now. As soon as we're done with this webinar, you can go to jdrf.org/join and sign up there to be an advocate if you're not already. If you are, great, thank you, and we definitely appreciate it. And also some good news, where you can work is right at home. You don't have to go anywhere right now, for now anyway. Eventually, there'll be meetings in your hometown and maybe even in DC that you could attend. But for now, you can do it from your cozy chair, on your laptop, or on your cell phone. And so that is a benefit of being an advocate. It's very convenient in this time right now. So maybe you're wondering what would I do as an advocate? There's a lot of different options. Let me see. Yeah. JDRF advocates help build and sustain critical support for type 1 diabetes research funded by the federal government by raising awareness among members of Congress of the financial, medical, and emotional costs of the disease. How do you do that? There's lots of ways you can use your advocacy muscle. You can write your members of Congress when there are actionable initiatives. For example, the Special Diabetes Program, or the SDP, you may have heard it referred to, is a critical program that provides $150 million annually for type 1 diabetes research at the NIH. The $2 trillion relief package that was recently passed, the CARES Act, I think maybe, included more than $75 million in SDP funding, which ensures this critical research will continue until November 30th, 2020. So that's good news for all of the researchers out there working on a cure. Another way that you can be an advocate, and what some JDRF advocates do, is by participating in the Promise to Remember Me campaign. And that is where you'll meet with your US representatives and senators in Congress to establish personal relationships and explain how they can help JDRF create a world without type 1. In addition, every electoral cycle, new members are elected to Congress, many who are not familiar with type 1, and the incredible toll that it takes on families. So the new member outreach initiative gives the advocates a chance to meet with their new legislators and inspire them to support funding and policies to advance type 1 diabetes research. Oh, okay. I wasn't prepared for that slide to be fancy like that. Sorry. Let's see. So, and then there's some other ideas about, Children's Congress. That is on the odd years, so we're not doing that currently, but keep that in mind and watch for stuff probably at the end of this year about that. Claire was a Children's Congress representative in 2013, so we all got to go to Washington, D.C. It was a really wonderful experience for her, I think, and for us as a family. So I would encourage you, if you have a child under the age of 18, whenever that information comes out, to take a look at it.
Yeah, and I'll just add on Children's Congress from a chapter perspective, it's definitely competitive. We only get to kind of send one, maybe two occasionally per chapter, but it's a great opportunity to get out there, and it occurs every 2 years, like Leah mentioned. So 2021 will be the next year we do it.
Okay, yes. Another way that you can be an advocate from home is by using social media. So if you're not already doing it, you can follow JDRF Advocacy on Facebook. I believe it's just JDRF Advocacy. On Instagram, same thing, or on Twitter. So by doing that, you can stay up to date on all the latest research breakthroughs and legislative progress. And you can also participate in some social media campaigns, which is going to be really important, I think, probably within the next year as we're going virtual. An example of that is a hashtag. You can hashtag #MyPumpMyChoice and share your story about why it's important to you to be able to choose which insulin pump you get to use. Not let your insurance decide that, which is, definitely the way it should be. Okay. So, let me check. There was that slide. I'm sorry, I'm not that great with the slides today here. Okay, so those are some of the things that advocates do. And one of the reasons that it's important to be an advocate, the why, I guess you could say, is you can make a difference for either yourself or whoever it is in your life that has type 1 by improving their quality of life with all of this research that's getting done and progress being made. Since Claire was diagnosed 12 years ago, we've seen amazing progress. She started on shots, and then she moved to a pen, and then to a pump, and then a CGM, and now she can see her blood sugar on her watch. And soon she'll probably get the artificial pancreas. And all that was made possible because of JDRF and their research and their work towards promoting legislative activity and through advocacy. So let's talk about some of the accomplishments that JDRF has made through advocacy. Okay, so they have helped since I think 1997 secure nearly $2.8 billion through the Special Diabetes Program, which is the SDP that I mentioned earlier. JDRF helped define the FDA pathway for the artificial pancreas system, studies and product review, and this effort accelerated artificial pancreas work at the FDA and helped to lead to the approval of the first artificial pancreas system in 2016. Also, Medicare announced in January of 2017 that they would provide coverage for CGMs, continuous glucose monitors. In June of 2018, the policy was further expanded to allow for use of smart devices in conjunction with CGMs, which is what Claire was talking about. She can see her blood sugar on her watch. As a result of the Coverage to Control campaign, all 25 of the nation's largest private health plans cover the Medtronic hybrid closed loop system, which is the artificial pancreas, one of the artificial pancreas, including Anthem, which initially had not. In addition, United Healthcare and Aetna agreed to pass along savings from pharmaceutical companies to their patients in the form of reduced out-of-pocket costs for insulin and other drugs. And if you noticed, Lilly has agreed to help with insulin costs as well. You can check the JDRF webpage for more information about that. And JDRF also joined with other patient organizations to defeat legislation that would have jeopardized insurance protections for people with pre-existing conditions. So to recap about how you can get involved, you can go to the website and sign up. You can probably also text ACT to 5371. I'm not 100% sure that still works. Because there was some discussion on the call I was on before about that might not still be happening. So it's safer to go to the website and join. And then whenever you get alerts about legislation that's happening And it's very simple. JDRF makes it very simple. You can just go to the link that they sent you, and it'll connect you with your senator or your congressperson. And it can give you a template for what to say, and you can add your own personal story, or you can just send it the way it is. It's super easy. And they'll be alerted, and they'll know that that's something you care about, and that really helps get that legislation through if they know that there are a lot of people that care about it and want to see it happen. And also there are other online petitions, maybe to healthcare companies, about providing coverage that you can participate in, and the Promise to Remember Me campaign, and the New Member campaign, and also promote advocacy via social media. So maybe I've gone too fast. I don't know. I'm kind of a fast talker. Sorry about that. But I just want to say that if you have, I'd love to know your story about type 1 and how it's affecting you and your family, or maybe your child wants to write a story and how they're dealing with the challenges of living with type 1 and share it with me. I would love to have that so that I could share it with Congress whenever, if I ever meet with them, or maybe virtually in a video or a letter, or you can always do that. Or maybe I could share it on social media. Maybe you want to make a video. If you've got, since you're home and maybe have some extra time, you could make a video about why you want to be allowed to choose your pump, and we could share that. I could share that on social media, of course, with your permission, obviously. But you can email me. My email is there, and if you have any questions, if I don't know, I'll try to find, but if you would share a story with me about you, or if your child wants to write a letter talking about why they would love for there to be a cure, because we all would. There's my email address, or any questions you guys have, any ways you want to be involved more than you already are. I guess that's
yeah, I'll just hop in, Leah, I think what you had kind of touched on, the Lilly announcement. Was that yesterday, I think?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so JDRF put out a statement on that, just that we obviously welcome their decision to introduce it. For those who haven't heard, they put out a copay card that limits the monthly prescription cost to $35 or less of out-of-pocket costs. So I think this is obviously fantastic news, and those are the types of things that are possible when we mobilize and bring people together around these important types of things. The only other thing I'll add before, I'll echo you, Leah, I want to hear from some other people, is the special diabetes program. We're so thankful that got renewed again. JDRF does a fantastic job here in the state, but also nationally, of doing some great fundraising. But the funding that is done through the special diabetes program is like huge compared to what we kind of fundraise. So it's almost just as important, if not more so, that we also are making sure that our legislators know, well, at this point, thanking them, saying this is important. You made the right decision, like by including it as part of the CARES Act to continue the funding for diabetes. But also, unfortunately, sometimes we've been in situations, I think it was like 2 years ago in 2018, I think it was, where we weren't sure if the special diabetes program was going to get funded again. And we really need to put the call out to our advocates to say, hey, call your legislator, call your congressman, like let them know this is important. So I'll just echo again, the special diabetes program is such a huge funder of research for type 1 diabetes. So.
I don't think I have, does anybody have any questions or?
If you want to, let's see, I'm going to bring it back over to my screen now. And really quick, I just want to talk through kind of JDRF in general. At this time, obviously, we are moving to a completely virtual, experience for JDRF. What that entails for our 3 spring walks, we have a walk in Mishawaka, in Holiday World, and we were just going to launch a Terre Haute walk. This means all 3 of those are moving virtually. And then also our gala, which would have been in 10 days, is also moving virtually. So there's still great opportunities for people to get involved, though. We are now moving on May 16th to an all virtual spring walk for the entire state. I think that's exciting, and we're going to be rolling out fun ways for the whole family to get involved. We have a lot of cool plans to really give activities and things for people to do. And then for the gala, it'll occur in June in an online setting. So I think it's, maybe even more of an opportunity for people to take part in silent auction, in giving a gift and making a difference there. So it's a situation where we've had to really pivot a lot of our in-person events, and our hope is that people can find a way to lean in and continue to help and support JDRF. Type 1 diabetes continues to be an awful disease, and our need continues. A lot of my work is with our newly diagnosed families and individuals. And I can tell you a big conversation right now is around a fear of going to hospitals. People don't want to be going to hospitals right now. And so we're seeing a rising number of people who otherwise would have been caught with kind of the earlier stages of type 1 diabetes are more often going into DKA because they are afraid of taking their kid or themselves to the hospital. So we're working closely with Beyond Type 1 to, roll out some more awareness towards that, and just know it is just as important as ever to both be an advocate, but also to lean in when it comes to JDRF and the work that we do. So again, I want to now just open it up to you all. I believe you should have the option to chat. If you want to share, your personal story, or, if you have any questions about advocacy or JDRF, would love to hear from you guys. I mean, I can kick it off a little bit. Leah, my question was the Remember Us campaign that you
Promise to Remember Me?
Yeah. Could you refresh me on that campaign?
Right. Well, it is typically where in your community we would set up a meeting with your congressperson or senator and bring in some families and kids with type 1 to talk to the congressperson about what it's like to live with type 1, so that they'll remember that whenever it comes time for them to vote on legislation. So that's why it's Promise to Remember Me. I believe it will be virtual this year. It will start, I think, at the end of May and goes through September, but it's just kind of a reminder of us, what, our story, just to stay fresh in their mind, so they'll think about us and want to support whatever legislation we're promoting. So it's important. It's important. It's a good way to be involved and make a difference.
And then maybe my second question for you, because I have not had the opportunity to take part. I was wondering if maybe you could talk through what your experience was like in going on a visit with
Sure.
rep or a
Right.
local rep, because I know those are
Yes. Well, I was
really
able to,
cool opportunities.
right. They are. You kind of have to obviously be nonpartisan. So you meet with both parties and and everyone is perfectly polite. I will say that generally our issues are what we're talking to them about. It has bipartisan support, so it's pretty easy. But I've met with our congressman from our district, Congressman Mushan, and he's a doctor that helps. I think he has a better understanding of what we're going through, and it helps probably that he knows Claire and has known her for a while. So basically, you just kind of talk to them about what your experience is and what's important to you, probably something about protecting people with pre-existing conditions. And we also I met with Senator Braun with a group of other families in Indianapolis when he was at his office there. And he mostly listened, and everyone shared our experiences and our connection. And it helps. It's helpful if there are some Congress people not in Indiana that actually have type 1, but they're the ones that are moving a lot of the legislation and making a difference there. But a lot of them do know someone, or in Washington, D.C., Congressman Mushan has a staff member with it. And then one of the other congressmen had a staff member who worked in nuclear energy or something in his office, so nothing that had to do with health, but he still wanted to come to our meeting because he knew that JDRF was on the cutting edge and he wanted to hear what we were working on and what we wanted. So those are basically, whenever you have a meeting with someone, either the Promise to Remember Me or the new member meetings, then you're just kind of sharing your story with them and telling them what's important to you. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's so cool having that opportunity. I will say, just because I've helped Cindy, who was the kind of advocacy volunteer before you were, I helped her recruit people for those meetings in the past, and sometimes those. So I'll say sometimes those come up quickly, right?
Right. You have to just be ready at any moment.
Right, because they like all of a sudden have, half hour open, and
right,
you got to squeeze into their schedule, or they are only back in Indiana for a short period of time.
Right.
So
yes.
that's almost what makes the signing up for an advocate, so you can get those alerts, all the more important. So.
Right. Definitely, because it's very important.
Do we have currently any upcoming?
We don't. No, they have not.
I guess there. Right. I hope there wouldn't be any person, but I was.
No. Yeah, not yet. I mean, I assume that once the Promise to Remember Me starts at the end of May, they've not given much details, but I think then we'll probably be able to set up. I don't know how they're going to want to do it, if they'll do a Zoom, and then we could probably get a lot of different families, which would be nice, because sometimes everybody's schedule doesn't accommodate it, so it's kind of hard to get a lot of people, but the more people, the better, I say, especially little kids, because they're adorable. So yeah. So
other questions from some of our attendees on the call today?
Hello, can you hear me?
We can. Is that?
Oh, good. Yeah, hi, it's Stacy. I called in a little late, so I might have missed some things, but I kind of just wanted to share my story. So I have type 1, and I'm doing a PhD at the IU School of Medicine, and I recently was involved in a science day at the State House. And so we were supposed to talk about our research, and I do diabetes research, but I kind of used it as an advocacy tool for myself, just to let people, congressmen and women, know the price of insulin and how, like, that's a topic for me I'm very passionate about, is how expensive insulin is and how diabetes affects everybody equally.
Mm-hmm.
And so once I did that Science Day event, I kind of got a little bit fired up on how I can use, my knowledge as a researcher and how to influence different policy decisions, because I experience all of these things as a patient myself, and I see how frustrating it can be. And so I'm glad we're able to connect, and I'd love to maybe connect through email or something if there's any other events I could help out with. And I'd love to do more advocacy type of work.
Yay, that's great. I'm excited. I would definitely love to connect, and you're just exactly the kind of person we're looking for.
Leah, it sounds like you have a volunteer to
Yes.
video or write something up for you on her experience. So
Yes, definitely.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Great. Does Sean have your email? I can get it from him. Okay.
yeah, I can. I'll introduce you to. So, but I think that'd be fantastic. When did you have that Science Day, Stacy? That sounds like a really cool idea.
Yeah, it was the first week of May, right before all the coronavirus things hit.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it was like the first or second day of May, and it was almost an all-day event where several PhD students from around the state of Indiana, like Purdue, Notre Dame, IU, there were a couple other schools, Ball State was there. But we all came down to kind of share little like layman talks about what we do and why it's important. And it was kind of interesting at how some congressmen and women knew a lot about science, and then some, it really wasn't their jam. So
Mm-hmm.
it was interesting to learn how to talk to somebody that's very interesting versus somebody that's like, geez, how much more of this do I have to listen to? And so it was a learning experience for me, but I love that environment. And so now I'm out like looking for new opportunities to be more invested in those type of areas and trying to make an impact where it actually affects patients.
I love it. That is great. We'll definitely be able to use you.
Perfect.
All right. Any other questions or comments that people would like to offer up? Excellent. Well, I just want to thank you, Leah, for talking a little bit about the incredible work our advocacy program does. If, again, you already and you're on this call now or you're watching this on YouTube later, sign up to be a JDRF advocate. It's super easy to do. You get alerts when you have opportunities in the future. So just really want to encourage you to do that. And you'll get to hear from Leah about those awesome opportunities going forward. And then once again, I want to encourage you all to follow us on Facebook and find a way to engage with us this spring. It's a challenging time for JDRF, just like any other organization, as we learn to pivot and shift to a virtual manner. And we need you guys more than ever to continue to make all of our research obligations and to raise that incredible funding for the type 1 diabetes research that we do. So Leah, any other kind of comments to before we wrap up?
No, I don't think, I would just say that use your voice. Mm-hmm. It's important, and it really can make a difference.
Perfect. Well, thank you all again for your time today. Appreciate you all joining us. Again, this webinar and our other past webinars will be on this Virtual Connections Program website. Our next upcoming one will be in most likely 2 weeks, and it'll be dedicated on what our virtual walk program will look like. So stay tuned for that. We also have one planned for May that we're partnering with the Southwest Ohio chapter dedicated to college. So what type 1 diabetes looks like going off to college. and encourage you to email me or let me know if you have ideas that you'd like to see. So always looking for finding speakers and different webinars to bring onto this platform. So thank you guys all so much and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks.